Good day, everyone. This is Bibilin Bitapan, and I'm going to present to you the novel from English literature, the work of Charles Dickens, which is The Great Expectations. But before we proceed to the summary, analysis, and the theme, let us know first the background of the writer and its style of writing. So Charles Dickens, 1812 to 1870, was uh, a prolific English writer known for his social commentary and vivid portrayals of Victorian life. He was born on February 7, 1812 in Portsmouth, Hampshire, England. He passed away on June 9, 1870 at the age of 58 in Hegum, Kent, England. He experienced poverty and hardship in his youth, which deeply influenced his work. Dickens' novels often focused on the lives of the working class, exposing the injustices and inequalities of Victorian society. He was a master of creating memorable characters and engaging plots, and his works continue to be enjoyed and studied today. Next, let us move on to the style of writing. So, social realism. Dickens's writing is characterized by social realism, vividly depicting the realities of Victorian life, including poverty, crime, and social injustices. He uses detailed descriptions and vivid imagery to create a sense of authenticity. Next, we have the humor and satire. Dickens's writing is often infused with humor and satire, using wit and irony to critique the foibles and hypocrisies of Victorian society. On the other hand, Bildungsroman. Great Expectations is a Bildungsroman, a novel that focuses on the protagonist's journey of self-discovery and growth. So Pip's journey from young orphan to a gentleman is the central to the story. Lastly, we have the Victorian prose. Dickens wrote in Victorian prose, characterized by its elaborate sentence structure, detailed descriptions, and the use of literary devices like personification and metaphor. Let us now have the summary. So, written in 1860 and one of the most canonical Victorian novels, Charles Dickens' Great Expectations narrates the coming of age of Pip Pirip, an orphan adopted by a poor family in England. Despite a hard childhood, Pip grows up to find happiness through friendship and love rather than money and social status. So the book opens with Pip as a young boy visiting his parents' gravestone on Christmas Eve. So a man in a prison uniform or a convict startles Pip and threatens to kill him if he does not bring food and a file or a flies to cut the shackle off his leg. So Pip is scared or frightened and he runs home to his sister, Mrs. Joe Graduary, and his adopted father, Joe Graduary. His sister is an abusive woman who resents both raising her orphaned brother and being the wife of an ambitious blacksmith. So Pip finds solace from her rages in Joe's kindness. Next morning, Pip steals food from the pantry and a file or flies from Joe's workshop for the convict, who is nonetheless caught by soldiers later that night. So Pip feels guilty for stealing, but his act of kindness softens the convict's heart, leading him to confess his crime. So early in the novel, Pip is called to entertain Miss Havisham, a wealthy recluse living in a dilapidated mansion called the Satis House. There, Pip meets the beautiful and cruel young girl, Stella, and is instantly infatuated. So one day, Miss Havisham shows Pip a great banquet hall where a table is set with rotten food and a large wedding cake, untouched for years. So he learns that years before, Miss Havisham's groom abandoned her on their wedding day. So Miss Havisham's relatives still visit on that day every year, which is also her birthday. So Estella toys with Pip, inviting him to give her a kiss before he leaves. Pip dreams about becoming a wealthy gentleman and marrying Estella. But soon, Miss Havisham decides that Pip must begin his indenture as a blacksmith with Joe and ends Pip's visit to the mansion. Pip is miserable, ashamed of his low-class status. So 4 years later, a lawyer named Jaggers finds Pip and tells him that an anonymous benefactor has granted him a large monthly stipend. He must move to London and learn to live as a gentleman. Although this is a dream come true for Pip, he will find London disenchanting and miss Joe terribly. So in London, Pip lives with Herbert Packet, who becomes a good friend and mentor. Herbert tells Pip that Miss Havisham adopted Estella and raised her to exact revenge on boys and young men by cruelly breaking their hearts. But Miss Havisham also hints that she is Pip's benefactor, and Pip assumes that she wants him to ascend in class status so that he can marry Estella. Led to dinner by Jagger's clerk Wemmick rather, who has a fantastical private life which is the opposite of his unimaginative professional demeanor at work. Although Wemmick lives in a small cottage, his home has been modified to look like an elaborate castle. So Wemmick lives with an elderly deaf relative whom he calls the aged. Pip finds Wemmick an entertaining host and he soon becomes a trusted friend. Meanwhile, as the years pass, Estella becomes even colder and more beautiful and moves to London. One day, Pip returns home to attend his sister's funeral. He visits with Joe and Biddy, his close childhood friend. So Biddy is disappointed in Pip and doesn't believe he will ever return home as he promises. She sees through his pretentiousness. Back in London, Estella begins courting Bentley Drumley, the most repulsive of Pip's acquaintances. Stormy night when Pip is 23, a rough man of 60 arrives at Pip's London home. The man, Abel Magwitch, proudly reveals that he is Pip's benefactor and same convict Pip helped years earlier. At that time, Magwitch swore to himself that would give all his future earnings to Pip. Magwitch tells Pip he had a daughter who died soon after birth. Pip is horrified, despondent that there is no grand design to usher him into marriage with Stella. He returns to Satis' house, angry with Miss Havisham for misleading him. He confesses his love to Stella, but she declares she will soon marry Drummle. Pip returns again to make peace with Miss Havisham, who apologizes for hurting him. Then, she accidentally sets herself on fire and Pip saves her, but burns himself during the rescue. In conclusion to this, Pip soon learns the secret that Estella is Magwitch's daughter. Pip feels ashamed of Magwitch. He feels an obligation to help him escape the police. Wemmick sends Pip a secret note warning him that he should leave the country with Magwitch. Pip and Herbert hatch a plan to help Magwitch escape by river. But Magwitch's old enemy Compayson pursues him by the boat. So that's all for the summary. So let us move on to the analysis of the story. Characters. Pip is a complex and evolving character, struggling with his desire for social advancement and his own sense of morality. Magwitch is a sympathetic character despite his criminal past who represents the power of redemption and the importance of human connection. On the other hand, Miss Havisham is a tragic figure consumed by bitterness and revenge who embodies the dangers of clinging to the past. Have the analysis of settings. The story unfolds in two distinct settings: the rural marshes of Kent, representing Pip's childhood and innocence, and the bustling city of London, symbolizing ambition, social climbing, and the complexities of urban life. Now let's move on to the themes. Social class and inequality. Dickens explores the rigid social hierarchy of Victorian England and the impact of wealth and status on individuals' lives. Identity and self-discovery. Pep's journey is a quest for self-discovery as he grapples with his own identity and the influence of others. Love and loss. The story explores different forms of love, including romantic love, familial love, and the love between friends. Next, we have forgiveness and redemption. The story emphasizes the power of forgiveness and the possibility of redemption even for those who have made mistakes. So that's all for the themes of the Great Expectations. After reading or watching also the series for more understanding of Great Expectations, I felt like looking into a mirror. Just like Pip's journey to find his great expectations mirrored my own struggles with or like wanting more and figuring out who I am. Just like Pip, I've been like felt pressured or felt the pressure to succeed and be someone important. But the novel reminded me that true happiness comes from the people who loves us, not just from material things or social status or even the money. It's okay to be a bit clumsy and awkward. Well, that's my personality sometimes. And the journey of life is about finding joy in the simple things, not just chasing big dreams. So, great expectations, on the other hand, taught me that being true to myself is more important than trying to be someone I'm not. It's a reminder that the people who matter most are the ones who love us for who we really are. That's all for today, and thank you for watching.